Hi friends, it's Victor Costa, Peace, Love, and Muscles. Hope you're doing well. Folks have said to me, Vic, we noticed that you don't count reps. Well, that's not entirely true. For a lot of clients, I recommended not counting reps because I wanted them to focus more on the quality of the repetition versus the quantity of the repetition. I don't know if you've ever seen people in the gym, but sometimes they just want to count to 10, get it over with, count to 10, get it over with, and count to 10 and get it over with. My techniques are more about bringing yourself back into your body and creating a dialogue with your muscles. There are several elements to a repetition that you must pay attention to that will help you get more out of your workouts. You see, most of us train for about an hour to an hour and a half, when we go to the gym for a training session. But some people are actually putting in more productivity into the same amount of time. We always talk about how all the great artists and all the great achievers have the same 24 hours in a day that we all have, yet they seem to accomplish more because they're being more productive in the same allotted time. So how can we do that with respect to bodybuilding and the time that we have in the gym that we're in there? So how can we make it more productive rather than just counting to 10 and getting it over with? Well, there's elements to a repetition. There's the resistance, which is the weight, of course. We could call the next element the form and technique, and then we can call the next element your level of concentration and connectedness to that. So at any given point, my objective is to have the maximum of all of those things. The best form, with the highest weight, with the highest level of concentration. So that is the art of the repetition, right? So you could always say, well, maybe I did the 50-pound dumbbell for 10 repetitions, but I really didn't feel it. I really wasn't connected to my body. So that would give you something else to work on. Maybe I did the 10 repetitions, but my form wasn't great. And so there's those three elements, and then you could break that down into more sub-elements. But my objective was that folks maximized their opportunity per repetition. The form technique, the level of concentration and connectedness with the resistance. And that's the objective. And that's when you know it's time to move on to the next weight up. When you seem to have gotten the most you can or have gotten the most amount of effort and productivity out of those three elements, then it's time to move on to the next weight. So it took me a long time when I was doing side laterals to move from 25-pound dumbbells to 30-pound dumbbells because there was always more I could do with that 25. I could have done it with a little bit more concentration. I could have done it with a little bit stricter form. And so I was always working on it. And not until I felt like I reached that maximum level of concentration with that best form with that 25 did I move on to the 30-pound dumbbell. And that doesn't mean it's not appropriate to experiment with other weights. But I want you to know that there are elements to a repetition that you could always focus on and make better and make that rep more productive. And that's why two people who are seemingly doing the same thing in the gym or spending the same amount of time or devoting the same amount of time, one person is producing or outproducing the other person and getting better results because they are packing more of those elements into each repetition. So think about those three elements: form and technique, level of concentration and connectedness, along with the resistance, right? And you can play with those elements and try to get them all to the max level before you move on to the next weight. So for me, now I'm working on 30-pound dumbbells. Yes, they're a little bit heavier, so my form isn't so great, but I am working with a level of connectedness, a high level of connectedness, and I am working with a heavier resistance. So now my next objective is to try to match my facility with the 25, with the 35. And when I can do that, I will then be able to graduate, if you will, to the next weight. So remember, there's elements to a repetition. You could always be getting more out of your repetition by amping up one or two or three of those elements all at the same time. So it's not all about counting reps. It's all about counting quality reps. Peace, love, and muscles. Please subscribe, like, comment, and thank you so much for all of your support. Take care.